Alright, in this video I wanted to cover just two examples. They're examples that seem to be a lot of problems for a lot of students. And so I wanted to go ahead and cover them just in case they're being trouble for you. So one says, suppose you are to take 4 hourly exams and a final exam in your chemistry class. Each exam has a maximum of 100 points. And you must average between 75 to 82 points to receive a passing grade of C. If you have scores of 83, 65, 70, and 78 on the hourly exams, what is the minimum score you can make on the final to receive a grade of C? So notice this is a problem that a lot of students generally ask about in actual reality, that you want to know what it is you need to make on the final exam in order to pass the class. Now, this problem specifically deals with the fact that all exams are weighted the same and none of them have a weight to them. The way you would change this to fit most of your classes is you would have to figure out your weight percent and then multiply by that. Getting back to this problem, in order to figure out what you need on the final, we have to look at the problem from a general standpoint, which is we have 4 hourly exams plus a final. That's 5 exams total. And when you do that, you have to have at least 75 to 82 points. Okay? So that is what the problem said. So let's actually set it up. The exams that we have are 83 plus 65 plus 70 plus 78 plus your final. We have to divide the whole thing by 5, and we want to know the minimum score that we have to make a C. So the minimum we need to make a C is that our average has to come out to a minimum of 75. And if we can do that, then we would have a C. So that being said, the first thing you need to do is you need to add up the values you can on the top. So here you should end up with 296 plus your final, divide the whole thing by 5, equals 75. In order to get this 5 out of the bottom, you need to multiply your fraction by 5, which means you also need to multiply the other side by 5. What that's going to do is that's going to cancel the 5s out of this side and switch it over to the other side. So this becomes 296 plus your final has to equal 375. To move the 296, because it's positive, we want to move it in this direction. So we have to subtract. This means that your final has to score at least a 79 in order to pass. Okay? Now the second part says, suppose the instructor in the class above has informed the class that the lowest hourly exam will be replaced by your score on the final, provided that your final exam score is higher. So what that's saying is that your final could be counted twice. It says, now what is the minimum score that you can make on the final exam to still receive a grade of C? So first of all, again, we need to start with the basics of what we know. We have an 83 plus a 65 plus the 70 plus the 78 plus your final. Divide that whole thing again by the 5 tests. Has to equal between 75 to 82 points. Now, when we're looking at it, there's something that you should notice. 65 is my lowest. Because it's the lowest, that tells me that this one is going to be replaced by the final. Since it's replaced, it means we have to rewrite our problem. So this is now going to be 83 plus my 70 plus 78 plus, and it is twice the final, still dividing it by 5 tests. And again, we want to know the minimum. Okay, we're looking for the minimum. So this would be 75. Here again, we still want to multiply this first and second sides by 5. In doing so, the 5s are going to cancel. And so here, instead of having the 296 like before, when we add these together, we end up with 231 plus twice the final is equal to 375. Again, we want to take this and we want to move it. Because it's positive, we have to subtract. So we have twice the final is equal to 144. And then we need to divide both sides by 2 in order to find out what your final is. So in this case, your final exam can be a minimum of 72 and you would pass. Okay. So those are 2 examples that kind of demonstrate how grades in a course work and the potential of how you would go about trying to figure out what you might need to make on a final in order to pass your class. Now, like I said in the beginning, if you are in a class where each part is weighted to a different part, in other words, say these hour exams were weighted at 40% and your final was weighted at 25%, what that would mean is that you would have to then multiply both of these by that percentage. So you would multiply your hourly exams by 0.4, you would multiply your final by 0.25, and that's how you add in a weighted grade. Okay. So if you are somebody who has weighted grades in your class and you want to see a better example on how the weighted grade plays a part, let me know. Otherwise, if you have any other questions related to these problems, I'd be happy to answer them. Otherwise, have fun with your math, enjoy yourself, relax, and I'll see you next time.